Hello and welcome back to Pantheon of the Geeks. It's been a while, but here we are with another Necromunda video. The Goliath Marauders have just come out, and as has Cinderac Burning. I had a quick look through this, and so I'll take you through this first, and then we'll have a look at the models. And this book is what appears to be the first in the set of campaign books for Necromunda. And we have the first part of the book, which is the story of what's going on in this campaign. And the first part of the book mainly goes around what's happened during Necromunda in the 41st millennium, when the Great Rift appears in the sky and all the power of Necromunda goes off, and the chaos that ensues, as well as an assassination attempt on Lord Helmar. All of that is in the background here, which is quite interesting to read. Plus, one of the things that you don't usually see in Necromunda, it talks about war almost on a much larger scale than just gang warfare, which is concerning me about the direction Necromunda might be going in, but anyway, we'll get to that later. All of this is the background stuff. It's a good read. Sorry, the Demios pattern rhinos keeps trying to fall on the book. Apologies. There we go. So all of that is the fluff. Then we have the actual campaign, which is really about controlling sympathisers, which instead of territories, these sympathisers are basically the people who are on your side, as there is a massive rebellion starting in the Underhive against the Imperial House. So you choose a side, basically, and that's how the campaign works. It's an interesting take on it, and you're either choosing Lady Credo's rebellion or Lord Helmar's successors, and there's lots of rules for all that in there. We also have some of the rules for some of the special characters, some of which are forward-rolled models that we've seen previewed so far, and some of which are already out, like Vesper. That's sorry about the lighting in this room, it's a bit different from normal. Hopefully you can see that on there. So then we have the sets of scenarios. These are scenarios like the Fall of the Bad Zones Outpost there. That is a generic scenario, but can be used for the narrative part of the story that you've just read, if you've read the first part. So this bit, for instance, is the Fall of some city, and that's how you modify it for a narrative story. Pretty straightforward stuff. And all of the scenarios in this have a narrative version as well. At the Storm. I'll not spend too long because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. There's quite a few. You can see a lot happened. And then we have the additional rules, which consists of the rules for Escher fights, which are here. So this is the Escher cut, which hasn't been released as of making this video. Probably will be out by the time I manage to get a chance to upload it. We have gas trap launchers. That's what comes on the vehicles as standard. And Escher Hellion Crew, so this is the book that gives you the Escher crew for the Ash Waste add-on. And again, Goliath Road Thugs. So those guys as well. All the rules for the new Marauders on this bit. Rules for the gang tactics. So we have Escher and we have Goliath. As of me doing this, there's no actual card packs out for those. Imagine they were coming in the future at some point. We have a nice diorama, probably something at Warhammer World, by the looks of it, of all the hab blocks. And then we have some nice drawings of the two new bikes and of the models. Weapons reference and all the rules for everything in the back, and that's it. Don't know what else to say. That's what you get in the book. Stuff that really should have been in Ash West as far as the rules go, and stuff that is part of this succession campaign, which again is the start of selling more books as the campaign continues. So obviously we've got the other gangs and whatever models they bring out for those, and whatever other stuff they bring out. That's what will be in the next books, I presume. But yeah, it's not my favourite Necromunda book because it doesn't have a lot in it, to be honest. It literally has the rules for 2 new box sets, this one and the Ashes, as well as a few other bits and pieces, and that's it. But let's have a look at these models. So these are the Goliath Maulers. Let's get this box open. Cellophane off, hopefully it'll be a bit less reflective. Is that so? A bit less. Well, they are the box anyway. So we have 2 big bases, the same size as the ones for the Orlock quads. We have 2 sprues, which I'm assuming are identical. Yes, they are. There we go. And we have the instructions for building there. So this is the weird optional part, which makes no sense to me on the Maulers, is this bit. I think the tyre looks cool, and I actually like the bike overall, to be honest, and I think the bike suits Goliath. It works for me, apart from with this bit. This feels like what's around the Colts territory, and I don't understand how the bike actually works without the big front wheel. Because these would just be digging into the ground. So both these bikes are going to have big front wheels, basically. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So essentially the entire bike's built up to this point. And then we have some optional heads. So there's 4 different heads. We have optional guns. There are 2 guns, either twin heavy bolters or twin grenade launchers. Go do one of each, just for variety. But that's it. So it's a simple build by the looks of it, I hope. So we will get started. Okay. So we have parts 1 and 2, which are the main seat part of the bike, and the part that everything really sticks to. Those 2 bits go together. Parts 4 and 5 will go on there, and they'll attach onto these little prongs. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this bit together. So that leaves us with this bit here. Next up we have part 3, which is the bit that's going underneath the bike. That fits on there. We have part 6, which goes on the back of the bike, which goes into this little groove here. And then we have part 7 and 8. Those parts go across the wheels. Make sure we're on the right one. So this one should be 7. It slots into there to make that little drive, axle, armour, whatever that's meant to be. So we'll go ahead and stick those on. And there we go. Next up is this big front wheel. So we need part 13, which is this bit. We have part 12, which is that bit. We have part 42, which which is the other side of the wheel, and then we have part 10, which goes in there, and the flat sides all go to the back, and that fits in pretty well, so it's pretty obvious how that goes. If you are building this other bit, it's literally just these two parts. You don't put the wheel on. That's it. That's the difference. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that together. I'm also going to move on a little bit down here, and we're going to have the wheel section. We have part 11 there. We have part 9, which goes that way. Part 15, 17, and the other side 14, 16 and 18. So they're ready. So I'll glue the wheel together and come back for this bit. Okay guys, so the best way to do this, once the wheel is together, you've got this flat section at the back. Make sure it looks like that. Is to put on one of these sides. I suppose it would really matter which one. That allows you to line up the back part, and then extra glue. Fortunately, the glue went everywhere on the first part for some reason. And then you can glue on your second part, sort of line that up like so. That is the best way to do that, rather than faffing around trying to find where that back bit goes. There we go. So that's what we end up with. Sans all the glue that went everywhere. Won't matter. I'm going to be using a lot of stuff on this to make it like it's going through mud anyway. So that is the main part of the wheel. The next part is to put on part 15, which goes on this side, and that goes over this matrixy part. This bit, if these are the right way around, goes to the bottom, because this is where the spike will go. It's probably going to be easier to put the spike on first. So we glue those into place, and then we come back and we put that into place. There should be you would think where that locks in like that. There we go. So that's what it will look like when it's glued on. And on the other side is exactly the same. So let's glue those bits together. Okay, so we have our complete front section. That, according to the diagram, slides onto there. So you've got this little cutout bit there and this little nodule there. Those two parts should connect. Like so. Not really a lot holding that together, but we'll stick that bit together. And then we have part, over here we've got part 20, and we've got part 19. So these parts go on top. So this is like the casing. It goes over there. That fits into, there's two little notches there and there, and two little prongs. That fits on top of there, leaving us with this bit, which appears to go over here. Yeah, so we've got a little cutout section which matches that there. So we'll glue this together. We'll put that on first, and then when this is in place, that should also line up with those holes, I think. So we'll glue those bits together and come back. Okay, there we go. For such a chunky bike, the connection points for the front and the back are really weak, to be honest. There would have been much better ways of connecting those two parts. That's not great, to be honest. So we're just moving on to the rider, which is part 22, which is the chest. That goes onto the back, which is part 21. Feels like a lot of unnecessary parts here. We have part 25, which is chest armour. So that's sort of optional, maybe. Maybe there's an option there for not putting that bit on. Yeah, possibly. We have parts 23, which is this leg. So part 25 with the chest armour. And part 24, which is the other leg. So those bits will fit on there, leaving this gap at the back, which will just attach onto the seat. So let's get these bits together. I'll put the chest armour on this guy. And that is those parts together. And then we need 26 and 27, which are the arms. So next on here we have the different heads. There are 4 different heads. I've gone with this guy. Looks like he's wearing sort of a gas mask type thing. I'm going with part 33 for the metal mohawk. Before we get to those, what I want to do is get this guy on the bike. So as you can see, there's a hole at the back and there's a hole in his leg. That's where the glue's going to go. And he's going to sit on the bike. There's no real room for him to move on there. But I want to make sure that the part 35, which is the hands and the handlebars, all match up and go together. So that's why I'm going to do this bit next and get them on there. Once they're on, we have part 34, which is kind of a seat headresty part. That fits onto the back there. And so we'll get the head on. And the last bit will be, I'm going to put the heavy bolters onto this one. So we have, that's part, I think I've got them mixed up. That's part 36, no I haven't, I was right first time. So that is going to sit in there, and then the other one on the other side. So let's stick this guy together. Okay, our finished bike. I'm not going to do it on that because I want to paint some of the stuff around it. There it is. Those bolters, they attach onto this bit here. There's 2 prongs as well as the 2 that attach into the hole. So there's actually 4 attachments to the, I keep calling them heavy bolters, but they're actually just bolters. Don't know why I'm calling them heavy bolters. It says bolters and everything. My brain just went to heavy bolter for some reason. But they're just twin-linked bolters, and the other ones are twin-linked grenade launchers. And have the same attachment onto the side of the bike. I like the model. It was very faffy to put together, and I feel like a lot of parts didn't really need to be there. But there we go. So the model on its own, I like. It feels Goliathy with the tyre on. The driver feels Goliathy, no problems with that. It's got that Mag Max vibe, like the Ash Wastes have. And in itself, it is a good model. Now, overall, as an expansion, the book and the box, I'm in very 2 minds about this. I don't think you get your money's worth with either, to be honest. I'll tell you why. The book itself, like I said, the rules for these should have been in Ash Wastes, along with every gang's new stuff in Ash Wastes. Then we don't have book after book after book of rules that you have to lug around. And if they wanted to do a campaign, a Cinderat Rising campaign, they should have sold that on the strength of the campaign alone. To put these rules across so many books to just play the Ash Waste just smacks me as they don't have any faith in their own campaign. That might be a bit harsh, but that's how it's made me feel. As a box set for £28, if you're buying it at full retail, I think it's 28. 2 models, £14 each. Is that worth £14? No. That's my mistake. No. The kit doesn't have enough options for me. I know the rules don't have more than 2 different types of weapons. But honestly, there's 4 different heads, which is all just aesthetics. Other than that, the bikes look the same, unless you leave the wheel off, which looks dumb, in my opinion. Some people might like that. If that's your thing, more power to you. But for me, don't like it. I like the bike as it is here. I like the 2 weapon options there are, but as I said, there should be more. And I would like to have seen like close combat guys. So maybe not have the guns on, and maybe more spikes for the Goliath, or is that 2 corpse grinder? I don't know. But at least like them wielding a hammer in one hand or something like that. Or close, like they're driving up and smacking somebody as they're going past. I don't know, a bit more close combat Goliath stuff. I'd like to see at least 3 models in the box set at that price point. You only really need 2 to play Ash Wisps, because he's coming at 100 points. And once you've got the 2 bikes and you've added on the weapons that you've got, it comes to 400, I believe, when I worked it out. Might be wrong, don't quote me, but when I did it, it's 400 points, credits. You get 400 credits in an Ash Wisp campaign for 4 vehicles, so 2 of these would be the perfect amount to have in an Ash Wisp campaign. There's a but, and that's coming next. Because in the Cinderac Rising, one of the scenarios suggests that you have many of these Maulers. So it's suggesting that for one scenario, you go out and buy maybe another couple boxes. Which seems, for one scenario, a bit pointless. And that is also my problem with this expansion. In a way, for me, it's not a problem. But for anyone who's starting the hobby out at this point, and who wants to get into Necromunda, say, oh, they look cool, I want to get into Necromunda, I'd advise them not to bother now, to be honest. In Cinderac Rising, you double the amount of credits for a starting gang, so you have 2,000 credits. So that's more models, which is fine. If you've got the Goliaths and the Goliath extra weapons and the Goliath, the ones with all the extras, the ones that I've got. As for my collection, it's fine. When I looked at, oh, that's cool, I can feel all this stuff, but thinking back on it, for somebody just starting, that's a lot you've got to buy into. This has gone from like a skirmish game where you can buy a box set and get into it, to you then needing to buy 3 other box sets of the same price, nearly. And then maybe some Forge Road models, just to get into it and play this campaign. From the start, not evolving into it. This is the starting gang. 2,000 credits plus another 400 credits for vehicles, so 2,400 credits in total as a starting gang, and then it would evolve from there. And my worry now is Necromunda is turning into Warhammer 40,000, as in model count, and as in amount of books you're going to need to play it, and as in money spent getting into the hobby. And it feels like this was probably the inevitable path once Necromunda came back and went a bit more mainstream. It is a shame, because Necromunda is best when it's just a few skirmish models. I find Necromunda works best with less models, in short games, but the way that this book's written, the narrative standpoint of it, is almost siege armies fighting over entire cities. And while you're not going to represent that on the tabletop, it's a vast difference from the previous Necromunda where it's gangs in enclosed spaces fighting each other. And while some people are like, that's great, it does make me worry that we're going to go down this path of, right, we've now got this guy, so now we're going to have a Goliath tank, and then we're going to have a Goliath this and a Goliath that. These are all going to be in separate books, so you're going to have to carry 10 books around with you just to play House Goliath. And obviously spend money on all those things as well, which is what Games Workshop wants you to do, which is why they're doing this, obviously. But it's a shame. It's the reason why I'm not going to get into the Horus Heresy, is I've already got everything I need from Forge World for a start, and I don't really feel like buying it again in plastic. You may have noticed when I started this off, there's a Demios pattern Rhino sat here. This is for Necromunda. because this is what my squat vehicle is going to be, because there are no squat vehicles, because that's my opinion of the leagues of Votan, that they're not squats. They said they're not squats, and they certainly don't look like squats or feel like squats. And while this might be an old person's view who's sort of lived through the squats, the whole point in the squats, for instance, is the fact that they were quirky, and they had bikers, and they had airships, and they had land trains. That's what their attraction was. Now they're just boring. I've looked at all those new models. I like the dwarf with the beard, and I like the small vehicle, but only because it looks like something NASA would build. As far as having it in 40k, nah. So a Rhino, that's what they're getting for an Necromunda. And you can pretty much build one for 410 credits in the rules for building custom vehicles, and squats in the old Epic game used to have Rhinos, so I'm quite happy with that. So yeah, it's a very mixed video, this one. I do apologise if anyone feels like you know, they'd really love this. That's fine. You're allowed to like or dislike whatever you want to. It's fine. And this is more of a turning point where I did say several videos ago we're going to get these bits where it's all eked out into smaller and smaller amounts of rules and smaller amounts of miniatures. I mean, essentially there are 2 new plastic miniatures in this entire book. There's 2 new box sets in the entire book, and like a smattering of 4 models, and that's it. Really, for so much money per book and so much space that they take up on the shelf. I mean, this book, and then we've got this book, and then we've got. I could keep piling books on top of each other. It's just like, how many books do I need just to play this game? Essentially, for the Goliaths, this one, the Goliath book, the main book, the Ashway, that's 4 books. That's too many. And it's like the bloat that happens with Games Workshop, unfortunately. I should have really seen it coming. I did think it was coming. But there we go. So was this worth it? As I said, from a Necromunda collector's standpoint, from someone who already has everything, yes. For anyone getting into it, no. I would advise anyone who really desperately wants to play Necromunda is to avoid Ash Waste completely and just play the original Necromunda with the original gangs. For now. And then see if they really, really want to get into Ash Waste. But there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's become a bit of a rant near the end because I've had a lot of these things going through my mind while I was reading the book and while I was putting the model together. And yeah. And I hope I haven't offended anybody. I'm not trying to offend anybody. And I know people will disagree and think it's great. And there's no problem with the price point. But yeah. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. And hopefully we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.